Hey yo, shout out to the bro Gunny Walker from the Bronx. You heard? He just lost his son a couple of months back. You heard? Make sure you show him that Gen Pop love and support. Know what I mean? And let's appreciate this brother for coming on the channel and telling us about his experiences going out there to recover his son. You heard? Gotta count your blessings every day out here. Because there's a bunch of people out here going through their own personal hells. Make sure y'all check all of the other episodes that we did in that series, Boots on the Ground, with the bro Gunny Walker, because every episode is super deep. And yo, if you a veteran out there and you going through heavy ups and downs in your life, tune into the channel and become family. You heard? Listen to some of these Boots on the Ground stories and some of the stories we got on this channel, and realize you ain't alone out there.
First of all, I wanna take this time to not only thank you, but I really want to thank Ebron. I want to thank Duran, and thanking those people. It goes right back to thanking you again, because this format right here, bro, it is doing more for our population than any clinician, any pills, any weed, any drink could do, man. The fact that people could get on here and talk about their innermost feelings and their trauma is I want to commend you on that, bro. So if nobody's done that, definitely want to commend you. I know the shit's been hard, man, but you keep pushing, bro, because you're right there. And the second people I want to thank, man, is those Marines from the Fast Company, and not the Marines of today. I want to thank those Marines from First Platoon, from those Marines that I served with in Panama, from 88, 89, 90. Then that new group, 91, 92, with 5th Platoon, the Marines that I served in Somalia with. All those dudes, man, with this thing going on with my son, those guys, they not only lent their time, their resources, but their expertise, and I totally believe that it was because of our active participation on the ground in Olympia, Washington, well, better yet, Bellinger, Washington, that we put a lot of pressure on Jefferson County Sheriff's Department to help us recover my son's body. Now, for the audience that doesn't know, back in May 29th of this year, I got a call from my sister and my son's mother. I have a set of twins, apart from the woman I was married to. My oldest set of boys. My oldest he went missing on the 29th, which was Memorial Day, and I got out there that Friday, which was June 2nd, and flew out to Olympia, Washington, and preliminary reports when we got there on the ground is my son, about two and a half, 3 weeks before his disappearance, I got a letter from him and a newspaper article, and it was the waterfalls of Thurston County, and what he would do, him and his dog, on the weekends, is he was just traveling around Washington State and the Portland, Oregon area, and he was finding these he was going to like national forests. He was out, he spent a great deal of time in Olympia National Forest, and he was just going to these trailheads, man, and at these trailheads were some of the most spectacular waterfalls, swimming holes, And from my understanding, the 29th of May, he was at a place called Ranger Hole, and I'm sure you're gonna do the overlays during this story. It's very important. He went into the water at a place called Ranger Hole, and the worst possible day that he could have gone in the water, and water, because of the early melt, was 20 feet above normal. The water was 40 degrees, and where he went in at was in between 2+4 rapids. So when I got out there, I was, his friends met me at the airport. We went straight to Ranger Hole, and what had happened is a couple from California, shout out to them, found my son's phone, his dog, and his clothes and his truck. And when they found his phone, it was only like 5% of the battery left, and it had been recording for like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So when the sheriff's department got there, they checked the video. There was no evidence of him being on video whatsoever. When I got out there with one of his friends, Ali, and they took me to the knoll, and the knoll was about 30 feet above the water. Ali almost fell in, and he was paying attention and everything, and they had all the forensic guys out there, and they did the investigation, and it wasn't until we recovered his body, maybe about 57 days in, that they could tell that it was an accident. They think that maybe after he set up his camera, he went to step back to see what it was going to look like. And even to this day, I don't know if he had planned to jump in, which would have been fucking suicide, or if he was trying to film himself getting into the water some other way, which would have been fucking suicide. And I don't think that this boy was trying to commit suicide. He had a great job. He was one of the founders of Heavenly Hash out there in Washington. So, I mean, he had everything to live for. So I believe it was a tragic accident. But I gotta tell you, Laz, this experience, it could have crushed me, right? And I think the only reason that it didn't crush me was because of my training. Number one, because of the support that I have and continue to receive, and just my outlook on life, bro, because he was the oldest of 5 boys, right? And this, to me, this was a lesson. It wasn't a loss. It was a lesson in fatherhood, love, and I want to say, I'm looking for an SAT word to sound real smart, but what I want to say, it was a lesson in love, forgiveness, and fatherhood. That's what I'm looking for, because I wasn't there early on in their lives just because of life, my work and the things that I was doing, being deployed, trying to be a father and a husband to another family, another set of boys, another group of boys. And I want to say the first 5, 6, 7 years of their life, they really missed out on having me there like that. And I now that all these years have gone by, and I am a dad, I am a father, I know that it's very important for both a mother and a father to share that responsibility in rearing children equally. Their mom was in the beginning was wonderful. She never prevented me from seeing these boys. I never had any baby mama drama. She allowed me um, to do my fatherly responsibilities without any hitches, no problems, no, no drama whatsoever. Um, and you know, when I saw, because what's crazy is like when I got there, from the day I got there, which was that Friday the 2nd, until I left Washington to come home 80 days, 82, 83, 84 days after, I didn't realize how bad of a shape that I was in physically and mentally, because I was operational. I went from being static, living a comfortable life, to I went from being a wandering generality to becoming mission specific again. And the mission specificity was to find this boy. And having served in the capacity that I did when I was in the military, traveled all over the world, with this murder, death, kill thing, watching and seeing young people die in places that have no names, places that are fucking filthy, motherfuckers yelling for their dog, yelling for their mommy, their daddy, yelling for a brother or sister, grabbing on you, begging you to help them survive, don't let me die, shit like that. When I looked around at that place, Ranger Hole, where Joshua went in the water, even before we recovered him, I had to say to myself, this would have been a beautiful place to die, bro. And this was early on in the search for him, because when I saw the river, when I was out there on the terrain, I got guys coming in from 4th Anglico, we searching from the air. And what a lot of people got to understand, these municipalities, these fire rescue departments, these police departments, when it comes to search and rescue, they're not allowed by law to actively search for anybody after 48 hours because of the insurance restrictions that are placed on them. This river and the road is a road called Duckabush Road. It goes from Puget Sound all the way to the Pacific Ocean. There's over, I want to say, 300, 400 miles of fucking river, right? And Jefferson County Sheriff's Department is not only responsible for that entire length of river, but 300 miles to the north and 300 miles to the south is policed by 26 search and rescue guys, 18 dogs, and you got to realize each one of those groups and those dogs gets broken down into active teams. So within, I want to say, the 3rd or 4th day that Joshua was missing, just based on his friends and people from the community that were out there looking for him, that department was active in at least 4 search and rescue operations, just based on the people that were getting jammed up out there looking for Joshua. So I got to give a lot of credit to those people, those officers, because the officer that I work with, Detective Brad, worked with me hand to hand every day, and he was actually the first one to find Joshua. And I was out there with him Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we found him the Saturday. The exact dates escapes me, but they were releasing 6 dogs into the fleet, And because of my active participation in the search out there, I ended up spending a couple nights with the sheriff and his family. And that Saturday morning, we went out before dawn, and it's crazy because the sun comes up out there during the summertime. It's about 4:30 a.m. and it doesn't get dark out there until about 10:30 p.m. So you got a long day. Summer days are long as fuck. So we out there before the sun came up, and this one female dog, Thursday, she wouldn't go down river. Friday, she wouldn't go down river. All the other dogs would run down river. She just stayed at the hole. And Saturday morning, we got out there before the lights were up, and that bitch ran up. She ran up river. She ran up river about 130 yards. I couldn't go down, get real close to the river with them. So they gave me a walkie-talkie, and they went. The sheriffs and the trackers went on foot because I had reached out to a couple of NGOs. I had some Navajo trackers out there with me, some Hopi trackers out there, and I'm listening to the radio chatter, and I knew within, I want to say, 15, 20 minutes that it took them to get down to the river, that they found him, because he was asking. His mother and I were on a group text, and he was shooting her a text and me a text at the same time, asking what kind of tattoos that Joshua have. So I knew, to my understanding, there was nobody else that was lost on that stretch of river, and it was just a waiting game up until that point. And somebody says over the radio, who's gonna go get Gunny? Who's gonna go get him? And the detective that I had been staying with, he's like, I'll go get him. And even though they were talking in 10 codes on the radio, I knew when he came up off to that trail, I could look at his face and I knew they found Josh. And he walked over to me, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he says, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I don't want to walk down to walk back, so I'll just wait here. And those guys brought my boy up to me. He was perfect in every way. The only thing that was wrong with him, he was just a little blue. He looked like an avatar. I grabbed his hand. The officers and the rescuers, they walked away. They gave me some time. Told him how sorry I was. Held his hand. Kissed him on his forehead. I helped him. I helped the search and rescue guys, and I helped them. I helped him fingerprint his hands and feet. They gave me my moments with him, and then they came, a great group of guys, man. They gave me a big group hug, and we carried him out to the bus. It was a 40-minute walk, and my hat goes off to those guys because they let me help carry him out. And it's not the first time that I did a body drag, but it was the first time I did a body drag with somebody that I loved. And it was about a 45-minute walk, and Josh wasn't small. It's about 6'2", 230 pounds. And just like the military, man, after a while, when you start carrying these bags, the humor is just gonna come out, man, because you're doing something that's so fucking serious, So I broke the ice first. I just started making jokes. I'm like, you could have really you need to lose some weight. Just talking to him, and some of them, they were trying not to laugh, bro. But I'm an asshole. You know what I'm saying? It's not anything. It's nothing we could do about this boy now, right? He's gone now, right? So, what am I gonna be what am I gonna be a mess now for, right? We're carrying him out, right? We recovered him, right? So I was talking to him, and I made jokes about him, and I made jokes with him, and I was talking shit. And we got to the trailhead. We put him in the bus, and all those guys, they hugged me up again, man. We traded challenge coins, and they brought me back to Olympia, Washington. And what's so crazy is, waited a couple days, got the autopsy. Before we recovered him, and this is crazy. This is the part of the story that I didn't get a chance to tell you about when I was talking to you. On June 22nd, I got up early like normal, getting my shit together. I got guys from my company, my unit. They out at the trailhead already, drinking coffee, smoking and joking. They waiting on me. So I'm up ready to leave and shit. I'm getting ready to walk out the house. His mother and her sister, they like, well, what time you coming back? I'm like, well, I'll be back when I get back. They're like, well, we're leaving today. And since we're leaving, you gotta leave. I gotta leave? The fuck you? Because we were staying at Joshua's house. It's like, fuck you mean I gotta leave? I'm not going anywhere. I told you when I got here, I'm not going anywhere until we found Joshua. And at that point, we talking about June, this was June 22nd. He wasn't even gone a month yet, but they had to come back to the East Coast. And I had already made it up in my mind I was gonna be there every day until we recovered him. And we had the locals and the sheriff department telling us that we was gonna have to wait until at least September, October, because we had to wait for the water levels to go down. We had to wait for all the snow to be off the mountains and all that shit. And I looked at his mother and his aunt, and I was like, listen, I ain't fucking going nowhere. His rent is paid up until the 30th. SMD, I'm not going anywhere. So they started bugging out, you know what I mean? I don't know what their narrative was. I still didn't figure it out. I really don't give a fuck between Joshua's landlord or whatever. But, they had a flight to catch, and I knew if I would have left that house, they would have locked me out. And I didn't have anything, because when I left New York, I got on a plane with all my credentials, 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of underwear, and the clothes I had on. I figured when I got out on that side, I wear Joshua's clothes, because we close the size, and the same size or whatever. So I was traveling light. I didn't give a fuck. So we had a standoff right there. We had a standoff. So I had to call my guys, which are all Leos, by the way. Everybody I fuck with in my unit, with the exception of 2 or 3 guys, everybody's law enforcement. So it could be ATF, DEA, fucking Border Patrol, SWAT, LAPD SWAT, Beverly Hills SWAT. I mean, them niggas is on the job, right? So I call them. It's like, listen, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm not gonna be out there today, such and such and so and so. So one of them is an ATF agent. This nigga came back to the house, but by the time he got there, the landlord and the police was already there. And thank God that the first 4 police officers that showed up, not only were they veterans, but all of them was Marines. So I had the landlord come in the house, and I was on the phone with my attorney, and we were recording him. So when he got in, he came in the house. I was very humble, very professional, was talking to him, trying to get him to, calm down or do whatever, because he came in there like a fucking gorilla, not realizing that I had weapons on me. I not only had my own weapons, but I had Joshua's weapons. But I wasn't playing this fucking game with this dickhead. So
But
he came
knew,
in.
He knew what had happened.
He knew. Listen, this white boy, and I ain't racist, but this nigga came in there and he was like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, your boy is dead and he's never coming back." And yo, lads, it took everything in my fucking body not to rinse this 40 round magazine into this nigga right there and reload it and shoot this motherfucker until he stopped moving. And the only time he would have stopped moving was when I stopped shooting him. But my attorney was on the line, and every one of y'all motherfuckers listening to me right now, y'all better start saving your little fucking 5 and 10s and your little $30 for your little 3.5 and invest in getting yourself an attorney and have them motherfuckers on standby. I got 3 of them. 2 of them I went to high school with. De La Cruz, and the other one is E-Banks. Them my motherfuckers right there forever. And my boy De La Cruz is on the phone with me, and he told the landlord, he says, "Listen, sir, we're recording you, audio and video, and if I were you, I'd stop talking, because right now you did more than enough." So he shut up, went outside, got the police. The police came in. They didn't have their weapons out. Because the funny shit is, I called 911 and was like, "Listen, the fucking guy is in here. He's threatening. He's acting all crazy." And the fucking 911 dispatcher was like, "Well, sir, what are you doing in your son's home if he's not there?" I was like, "Oh, we doing this? So here's what we're gonna do, you fucking coward. I'm here because my son's missing. You know he's missing, and here's what's gonna happen. If you don't send a unit, you better send a bus. Because when I start killing this," and as soon as I said that, I started hearing sirens in the distance, because the fucking police station was right down the road. So, they came signal 2, because I talked about killing this motherfucker. So when they came in the house, they was a little sketchy. But since I was standing there with my documentation in my hand and my hands up, and I was communicating, I was using my words. And when I looked at one of the I'm gonna say Marines, but he was a cop. When I looked at his forearm and I saw a particular tattoo, when I looked at him, I said, "So were you with Stay too?" And he looked at me and he smiled. And so
what you asked him again? What you said you asked him?
I said, "So you was with Stay too?" So it was a strategic target and acquisition squadron or platoon that is a specialized group, and the only people that know. So when I said it to him and he smiled, he was like, "How do you know?" And I smiled at him and said, "I was with Fast Company." And Fast Company was the sister company of all the state platoons in the fleet. So when he smiled and I smiled at him, I was like, "Listen, officers, my son, I'm here." I pulled out the missing poster, the flyers that I had printed up. I said, "This is why I'm here. My son's rent is paid up until the 30th. And because I've been working in the nonprofit world for 12 years, lads, I already know I've helped families with evictions and this and that and all that." So I knew that at this point, it was no longer a legal matter. It's a civil matter now. They're gonna have to evict me from this fucking house. Now, all I wanted was to have the ability to stay there until the 30th, right? I had planned, because I was talking to the landlord's wife, I had planned to take over the lease while I was there, because like I said, I was going to be there at least until October. So Josh was living month to month. So I was in a position to pay them going forward. But since you want to be a dickhead, we could do this using the courts now, because there are laws out there And the law is blind, my brother. So as long as you know the law has to work both ways. So as long as I stood there, I stood my ground, I used my words, I know the law is there not only to protect the landlord, but the law is also there to protect me, right? Because I didn't come out there to party. I wasn't out there at a party and miss my flight and stay in a little bit late. So they had to give me a 20-day lease. And then when I went to court the following week, I sued them. And now, guess what? Here it is. What's today's date?
12.
What's today's? October 12th. I mean, August 12th. That place, they will not have access to that place until like fucking November, December. And I'm on the East Coast fighting a case out there because the VA gave me some attorneys to fight their stupid asses. And all I want to do is just fight their stupid asses. I don't want nothing. But since they were being such dicks, that's what I'm being. I'm being a dick, and I'm going to use a law to prevent them. I don't even know what it's going to prevent them from doing, but I'm just fucking with them now. Because all I needed to do, like I said, was stay there until the 30th. So what had happened was, with all that shit going on, I had to put a stop to my search efforts, because if this was the 22nd, I think that was like a Tuesday. So I didn't have the keys to his house, so I didn't want to leave my shit in the house and go out there and look for my guy and then come back at the end of the day and all my shit is outside or the house is locked up and I can't get in. So what I did is I went to 22 Many. That was the VA suicide group that we talked about during that Neely conversation. And I went out there, I told them what my situation was. They was like, damn, you might be getting ready to pop. I was like, well, I don't think so, but if you say so. They was like, we say so, so here's what we're gonna do. They got me a bed at the Salvation Army shelter, right? I stayed at the Salvation Army. I got in. I was in the Salvation Army shelter by that Monday, which was like the 25th. And really, all I needed was a bed, and a place to store my shit while I was out looking for my boy. And that's what I got. So I didn't give a fuck. And that's what I was doing until we recovered him. And the crazy shit is, when I was talking to my girl on the phone, she said to me, she was like, you know, when did you recover Josh? And I told her, and she got real quiet. It was like a pregnant silence. And she said, do you know how long ago that was? And I was like, nah, what happened? What you talking about? And she said, sweetheart, that was 8 weeks ago. And I was like, what? 8 weeks? Because it just seemed like yesterday. Because I was that fucked up. I was literally walking around out there in shock after we found him. Like, because it wasn't, like, just think, for the first days that I got there, I was balls to the wall every day, searching, not sleeping, searching, eating, not doing this, searching. So once we found him, and you know, they had the preliminary investigation by the MD and all of that, and then he got boxed up and he was being shipped out to Virginia. I went down to the airport, SeaTac, Seattle, Tacoma, you know, and my little gift to Gab, I got a chance, I got the detective to let the people that were in charge of sending him to Virginia, they gave me a few moments alone with the little casket and shit. So I spent the night before he went to the East Coast, because after all that shit that went down between his mother and his aunt and all that shit, and I recovered him, I didn't really feel a need to go to his service. So, because I made it a point in my life, I've dealt with death for so many years, from like a little boy. I don't do funerals because I don't want to see anybody in the box. Like, even my worst enemy, I don't want to see you in the box because that's not the memory of you that I want. I have conditioned myself because of the trauma that is the military life, that I've seen a lot of motherfuckers go home on a helicopter, right? Or go home in a bag and you was just talking to them, or you came in country with them, or you ripped out with them. So I'm kind of conditioned in a real fucked up way that I got a lot of friends who've passed in the last 20 years. I don't go to their funerals, and I'm okay with the last memory that I might have of you is us sitting around smoking an L talking shit. But I don't have the memory of you in a box. I know you ain't there. I'm not stupid. I know you are no longer amongst the living, but I don't have that memory of you in a box. So that was my thing. That was my hardest thing dealing with Joshua, because I knew we were actively searching for him. I knew we were going to recover him eventually. And I didn't know how I was going to be able to process seeing my son dead. I didn't know how I was going to do that. But when it happened, I had to be his father. Like, that's the only thing that was in my mind when the detective came back to me and he was like, yo, we found him. Do you want to see him? What was I going to do? No. Like, I would have felt, even if I know myself, I know if I didn't see him, right now I'd be mad with myself. I'd be kicking myself because I didn't see him. I didn't hold him. I didn't kiss him. I didn't say goodbye. So the fact that I was able to do that, I didn't need to go to the East Coast. I didn't need to go to his service. And I caught some flack from a couple people, but who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? I'm so sick of other people telling how other people supposed to live. Yo, any of y'all motherfuckers come up to me and tell me some stupid shit, and I'm talking directly to my friends right now. Y'all motherfuckers come up, any one of y'all stupid bastards come up to me and tell me how I should be feeling at this point, I'm gonna slap fire out your fucking ass. And Laz, I ain't violent, bro, but I've been dealing, let me tell you, bro.
Yo, bro, but let me just say, you going all the way out there by yourself with nowhere to stay, with nothing but the clothes on your back, recovering your son and bringing your son back to the mainland, that's more than 30 funerals. You feel what I'm saying? Like, the level of respect you paid to your son by doing that, a funeral can't compare with that. So I totally agree with that shit, bro.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? I hate
that.
funerals.
Yeah, man.
I don't like going to them shit. I don't like, because it's traumatizing and it fucks you up on a deeper level. But the shit you did, going there, recovering, that's the most manliest shit a man could ever do.
I appreciate that, man.
Real talk, bro. And I'm sorry you had to go through that shit, man.
When we was talking earlier, remember those two words I told you, Robin Sage, right? Now, there's a training exercise that goes on in North Carolina. It's called Robin Sage. I'm not going to talk too much about it. If people want to figure it out, they can Google it. But it is a culmination of a specific group of military war fighters. It is their graduation event, and my unit was used as the aggressors in this evolution, and we did it for 3-4 years. And what it showed us was real nation building from the very bottom of it. Y'all was out there, bro, and I survived on less than fucking $20 a day. I studied the population. I lived off the ground. And now, see, not everybody could do that, bro, and I don't expect everybody to do that, but it's possible. And we got to start learning how to function in the maybe not like it to the extent that I was at, but listen, bro, there's a lot of things that are getting ready to happen in this country, and if at the very least, if y'all motherfuckers don't have a go bag, if you don't know what a go bag is, if you don't know how to read a map, if you don't know how to work a satellite phone, if you don't know how to work a satellite watch, if you cannot operate an infrared or a fucking satellite phone, because I know you got $1,000 pair of sneakers somewhere. I know you spent more than too much on them rims and tires and gold fronts and all the rest of that bullshit, but you can't purify water. Y'all better wake the fuck up. And here's the deal, lads. I better be on your short list when it comes to anything happening going forward with anybody in your life when it comes to anything tactical. I wouldn't give a fuck. I can't, let me tell you, bro, we all we got.